the real, raw, honest conversations about parenting teenagers in today's world. No filters, no sugarcoating, just truth, compassion, and practical insight from experts, educators, and parents who are right in the trenches alongside you. This podcast is where parents come to hear the conversations they didn't even know they needed. My mission is simple: to help you feel supported, informed, and empowered so you can build the connection with your teen that you truly want. If you want to go deeper into this work with me, stay until the end, and I will share how you can connect with me. From my heart to yours, thank you for being here, for doing the hard work of parenting, and for choosing to grow right alongside your teen. Welcome to another episode of Parenting Teens Advice Redefined, where we have the space of the real and raw and honest conversations, no filters about what it actually takes to raise teenagers in this uncharted territory that is today. And here's what I know to be true. It is not them, it's you. And that's where the magic happens. If you have ever felt like your teen is constantly distracted, overwhelmed, emotionally shut down, or living in a world you do not understand, this is the conversation you never knew you needed. Because what looks like defiance, disconnection, or lack of motivation is often a nervous system that is dysregulated in a world that never turns off. Today, we're not talking about surface level fixes. We're talking about what actually is happening beneath the behavior and how you, as the parent, can shift everything. Today, I'm joined by Spencer Delisle, president of the Art of Living Foundation Canada, global meditation teacher, executive coach, and former cancer and cardiology researcher. For over 2 decades, Spencer has worked with everyone from elite athletes to students and parents and first responders, helping them regulate their nervous system, access clarity, and perform at their highest level through the science of breath and meditation. His work bridges neuroscience, performance, human connection, and today we are bringing that directly to you at home as the parent of a teenager. Welcome, Spencer.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. It's great to be back.
Oh, I'm so excited. After our last chat, I'm pumped for this. So nice. Tell us about you first. Tell us what's the Spencer story and what is the point of all of it?
Yeah, for sure. So I think like many of us, we had a moment in our life where it was a little bit of an epiphany, like, oh, wow, I feel like I'm on a Groundhog Day, with Billy Crystal and it's just like the same old thing again and again. I don't seem to be getting the juice in life, doesn't seem to be there anymore. And, I had a career that was burgeoning out and accomplishing things there and in my education as well. And those goals, they just didn't mean as much to me anymore. And it was really interesting. I started to ask myself those bigger questions about life, okay, well, am I my job? Am I these accomplishments I have? Like who am I really? And those questions of self-reflection really were a path towards something greater. And it started me on a journey, which I'm still on. It's a journey of life. And looking into, really the world beyond our senses. Because typically, when you think of yourself, we just think of usually the body, and maybe we have an awareness of our mind and emotions at some point. But there's so much more in the kind of subtle realm or subtle world of who we are. I think last time I used the example of the cell phone. You could even use the same thing for your computer at home, right? You type away in your computer, that's the physical, gross aspect of that device. But then there's a subtle aspect as well, the Wi-Fi in your home. Yeah. And we all know how much of a crisis is, especially if you have teenagers, if the Wi-Fi goes down.
Oh my God.
Right? So this Wi-Fi, can you smell it? Can you touch it? Well, no. It's a part of this subtle aspect of our world. And I started on this journey to really discover this subtle aspect of myself and also of the world around me. And it's so incredible, being able to get back to that essence of myself, that peace, that calm, that joy, that confidence. And yeah, through these very powerful breathing and meditation and yoga techniques, I was able to come back to that state and really gain that, keeping all the knowledge and the intellectual capacity of being an adult, but at the same time being able to rediscover that aspect of being carefree, of being able to have a lot of responsibility and the same time to feel free at the same time and not bound by all of it. So that was the start of the journey. And yeah, for the past number of years, like you said, been teaching many different sectors of society. My wife also is full-time with the foundation. So she also teaches the courses, and we teach courses for kids, for adolescents, even people at the university level, and then all kinds of other adults. And yeah, we have this incredible new program. I hope we get a chance to talk about it, the intuition program, and just really has become a revolution in education, actually.
Yeah, we will bring that up at the end.
Nice.
Don't let me slip on that one. Talk about distractibility. It's funny how you talk about Wi-Fi before we even dive in. And I learned from a coach once that there's this Wi-Fi that we, our Wi-Fi at home. That's the regular Wi-Fi. That's the one we're always on. And then we want to grow. We want to, get out there. We want to do something different, which means tapping into a different Wi-Fi because it's just there. Nice. And so you go to a coffee shop and you got to join the Wi-Fi, and now you're in this Wi-Fi you really wanted to be in, and you're feeling great, and you're, doing your meditations and you're doing your work. And then something happens. You get stuck in traffic or somebody pisses you off. And then you go home and you automatically join that Wi-Fi. You don't even know. You just go right back into it. And I thought, what a great analogy I feel like when we start to do the work that you're talking about, we are able to then understand, I jumped off the good Wi-Fi and now I'm back to this Wi-Fi. And I would love to talk about, first of all, awareness, because I think that's where it stems. Like, if we're completely unaware, if we're completely in this dysregulated system where we don't even know what it feels like to not be, let's talk about awareness and what that looks like for our kids and for, of course, starting with our parents.
Yeah, it's such a great point you make. And I think a lot of your listeners, and I think a lot of us in general as adults, we run around and we're taking care of everybody, which is great. We're taking care of people at work. We're taking care of our community. We're taking care of our family and our spouse. And often one very important person gets left out. Mm-hmm. And that's yourself. And, so many people, I think, get in this situation where they struggle to find time for themselves. And I think even before you want to find time for yourself, the first step is exactly what you said, a level of awareness, because I think a lot of us, we run around and we just think that, okay, this, lower energy state, or my mind racing like crazy, vacillating between the worries of the future and the regrets of the past. Well, this is just the way it's supposed to be. Like I remember thinking to myself, wow, I guess I'm just an angry person. It's my state a lot of the time. I think like a lot of us here, it's like you have a tendency to want to make things the best they can be. You have a perfectionism tendency. And when things don't go that way, as they can often do, then you either get mad at somebody else and you're frustrated and you're angry and you're off, or you direct the anger inward at yourself. Yeah. And both, I mean, there's a spot and there's a place for emotions in life, because that's the way life is. But typically the way they happen is like the way they happen in a lot of children. Maybe you even remember, if your baby might start crying or getting angry about something, but then you distract the baby with a little toy or what have you, and it'll be laughing and, so happy, with the tears still running down its face. Like, kids can just change their state like that. It's incredible. And it reminds me of a time when my little nephew, he was 2, he saw me preparing the food in the kitchen, and he wanted the knife that I was using, 2.5 years old. Well, there's no way, take this. No. He really wanted the knife, and he was crying, and his mother took him and consoled him. And then I remember I had a little elephant toy that I distracted him with. And that's it. He completely changed the state, laughing, still with the tears running down his face. So this, there is a way to learn how we can help ourselves, by practicing and learning some of these techniques. It can help our level of awareness come up, so that we can actually, wow, okay, I can observe myself getting angry rather than reaching into the fridge for some brownies. And, okay, I have 1, I have 2. Well, they were just 2 small pieces. Let me have a 3rd, a 4th. And all of a sudden, that emotion I may have drowned out, but I've also dulled my whole system. And now my energy is even lower. So instead of running away from these emotions or trying to resist them, because remember from last time, whatever emotion we resist persists in the system, what can I do? Well, that level of awareness, like you mentioned, being aware and having the courage to just open your arms and say, okay, I'm here. Let that emotion wash over me. And the irony of the whole thing, when we do have that awareness and attention on it, then it actually leaves on its own, which is kind of counterintuitive, but I kind of challenge you on the listeners here to give it a shot and see what happens.
Yeah. You know what? And I want to get this really tangible. So for you, it looked like I'm just an angry person. For me, prior to doing any of this work, I'm just always busy. I was very positive, always saw the positive thing. In a good way? No, pushed it away. Exactly what you're talking about. But no, there's a brighter side. There's a silver lining. Let's move on. But always busy. Like I felt my entire life from the second I got up was like this full calendar. And since I started doing this work, and this is, moms and dads, but I know moms this is like notarized for them, is then you start to do this work and you start to understand what the ease and the joy of having some space in your day. And it takes a while. Like it took me a while to think I should be busier. Like this is terrible. Like I'm walking around reading a book, going for a walk. And it's like, I'm just going to be living out of a box soon because this is just not the way it's supposed to be. So it takes time to shift. And now I want to move it over to teenagers. So in living in a distracted generation that we see, what is the constant distraction doing in the developing brain of a teenager? Like I know what it did for me and I know what the change is, but what is happening in the brain of a teenager and what are parents missing about that?
Well, I think you hit the nail right on the head that, we live in a completely different world than our teenagers do, and we do now, than the one we grew up in. I just was at a conference and I met the president of the Ontario Caregivers Association, and we were talking about this exact thing and how she remembers, as a young woman, sitting in a bus stop watching the rain come down the bus shelter. And just having that moment of mindfulness, not having anything in her hands, waiting for the bus, and just the peace and serenity that brought, being able to just be with her mind and emotions. Whereas you think of, I know we teach these courses for teens now, and I remember we taught one course for our teens course, and there was one girl on that course that was saying she saw someone on the street that was waiting to cross the street, and they didn't have a phone in their hand. And she was thinking to herself, wow, I would be so panicked in that situation, because if I didn't have a phone in my hand and I wasn't doing something or looking at my phone, wow, everyone would think I'm just a big loser and I have nothing to do and I have no value. Whoa.
Oh my God.
It's a totally different, perspective on things. And to your point, in, the neurobiology of the brain, the developing teenage brain, we're still maturing our anatomy and our ability to use our cerebral cortex and our ability to, learn new things and be able to, judge what's best for us. So in that very fragile state, we have our teens and even our children are being influenced by these engineered devices that are purposely engineered for addiction, because that's the profit plan, for the app or for the device. And it's so interesting too, because our organizations worldwide are living. We're in 156 countries, and we're all throughout Canada, and 186 countries rather, Canada and the US, and have many friends from Silicon Valley, and many of them have told me that all of these app generators, the founder of the iPhone himself, Steve Jobs, he would not let his kids near any of those devices.
Interesting.
So it makes you wonder, like, if the, inventor of this device is not letting their kids use it, then what, where's the rub there? Like, why is that the case? And it, everyone has to find their happy medium, right? I mean, it's very hard now with the way society is and the way people's environments are. You're just around it all the time, and it is part of the way we work as well. So, each parent has to find their own balance. Yeah. But the effect on our young people, it's almost immeasurable, because the environment that we have as a baseline that we grew up in is just so far removed from what kids are experiencing now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so funny. I was just talking to my girlfriend this morning, and she sent me this message from a different phone. My phone's broken and it's not sending messages and blah, blah, blah. And right away I go into fix mode. Go on your Mac. Your Mac will do your text messages, blah, blah. And then we called each other and said, this is pathetic. Like, wow. Our lives stopped. And we were the hard thing is, I think, like, if it's all like our kids, and we need to reintroduce what it's like to not. But if it's all that's one thing. But we know the difference. We know what it was like without a cell phone. Yes, I am that old. We were still dialing with the cord. Sorry, not sorry. But I know what it's like to come home and check the answering machine. I'm not all day long with my phone. Oh, I got a message. I'm accessible 24/7. And I just think, we both kind of said, we need to fix this. This is craziness. So I feel like this is a message for parents to, like, start instilling with their kids, like, what's it like to put this down for a few minutes? And are you, I even say this in the schools, like, to the teachers, if your students are on their phone, you're not engaging.
Wow.
If you're engaging, they don't need their phone. You need to be engaging. And at home, if you're at the kitchen table and everybody's on the phone, you are not having a conversation at your kitchen table. Be engaging. Like, sorry, right? So, okay. 100%. Rant over. I want to talk about parents and okay, our teenagers who have our parents are interpreting our shutdown and their moodiness and their tone that they don't have.
Right.
Yeah. So what is actually really happening in the teen's nervous system when you are noticing your kids like shutting down, shutting you out, slamming the door, you're not getting any connection? Is there something happening that's dysregulated there?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, even beyond the science of what's happening in the developing teen's brain, just having this simple understanding that that brain is developing. And I think sometimes it's easier for us to act on things when we can make it simple. And I think that, to have the same expectations that you would of, a completely, honed professional athlete at the Olympics, the expectations that you would have of someone that's, in junior high and competing are totally different, and I think that's the main important aspect, because it's not only, like the neurobiology of the brain and the development, but it's also that changing of roles that this teen has. They're going from a space as being a kid where, you're essentially, I mean, obviously it's different in every household, but you're more just following your parents. They have that great counsel. They've been guiding you since you were a baby, before you can remember, and you go along with it, and that's that. And then you're getting into this phase where you're like, oh, wow, I can also, make my own choices, and I can also decide on what I want to do, and who am I actually, and what is my personality development and all the whole psychology of it. And now we're introducing at that age group as well, to add another layer, all the hormones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
that developing that we're going through puberty. And wow, not only is my body changing, and this is different for me, and I'm okay with some things, I'm not okay with other things, this is very odd, but my mind and emotions is changing. And I'm feeling these intense emotions that I didn't have before, and that's causing a whole other string of emotions. So it's like, sometimes I think the kids and the adolescents, it's like an overload. And then the shutdown happens, and we're, over here on the other side, more adjusted, and we've lived through so much of this that maybe it's difficult for us to go back and remember those times, right? So yeah, that's it. Being able to give our kids the benefit of the doubt. And it's interesting because, seeing how, this journey of our relationship with our children, it also moves more into a friendship with time. I mean, of course, like, you're a mother, you're always going to be a mother. You're a father, you're always going to be a father. There's no question there. But at least that maturing relationship, it's an interesting balance the parents have to make between obviously being the parent and being responsible and taking care, and then at the same time keeping that connection and keeping that relationship. And one way that at least seems to be working for a lot of parents is this aspect of developing that friendship and that developing that friendship so that communication can still stay open.
Yeah, I often describe it to, you're shifting from parent to now you're coaching.
Yes.
And your kid's a quarterback. They're still making the plays, but you're back there going, okay, I got you when you fumble the ball. I'm still your coach, as opposed to, and that again, and then turns into, my kids are older now and we're super close and we're friends. Like, they actually hang out with me on purpose. Still astounds me sometimes, but I just want to be the cool mom now forever. But So I would love to think, okay, so let's go from, okay, my kid's slamming the door, totally dysregulated. What am I doing as a parent right now? I've got some empathy. I know, okay, I hear Spencer. I know that this is a different, there's hormones, but I don't want to just let it go. I want to make a connection.
Right.
What are we doing?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I'm sure you have great tools after raising two kids. And I'd love to hear your tools as well. And many of you have your own ways of working with it. And I would say, there's things, in the moment we can do. But on the greater scale of things, being able to enrich your kids with an education and tools and techniques to help them manage themselves for the long term. Because you can decide to just keep putting out fires, or we can fix and not necessarily fix, but you can give tools to your teens to be able to manage these emotions, their mind, all the physical changes they're going through, so that they can self-regulate. And the interesting thing is that with time and practice, sure, these waves of emotion will still come.
Yeah.
But they won't be like a tsunami anymore. Instead of being like a tsunami, maybe they're going to be, a little cresting wave that comes over the side of your boat from time to time, or maybe they just become a ripple on the ocean because those kids have been practicing, and because those kids get connected with other kids that are doing these practices regularly, that are really going for those things that they want to go for, that are feeling the same confidence that they have in themselves from their own intuition and within themselves, so they can do the things that they want to do. They can be the person they want to be, rather than feeling just totally out of control. Because, I'm sure you've noticed after one of these kind of tantrums, the child is exhausted. It's not usually a pleasurable experience. It's just like, you've set a fire and it just keeps building and building and building, and boom, there's that big reaction.
Yeah.
So I would say that's the first thing that I've seen worked really well is to give kids, teens, adolescents, the whole range of wherever your child is at, even into adulthood, to be able to give them this gift of these tools and techniques to help manage themselves is the best of gifts, and can help reduce two things: the intensity of those moments you just described, and also the frequency of those moments you described.
Yeah. I would like, sorry, no, go.
Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to add on to that about not just the slamming of the doors and the tantrum, but we also see such a rise. This is going to lead right into what you were talking about in anxiety and depression and overwhelm. And what is the disconnect between what parents think they're doing that help and what actually works? And my brain is going, yeah, but if you said to your own kid, hey, let's try this, they'd be like, you are the lamest person I've ever met. You were born 40. You have no life experience. Please don't tell me how to live my life. So I know there are other things out there. And this is the segue that, I would love to get into, talk about these tools for us.
Yeah, that's it. So, well, I mean, it's pretty clear that at least for most of us, neither at home nor at school have we learned how to manage our mind and emotions. And these tools came to me like in my 20s, but I just think to myself, like, imagine if I had have had this when I was a kid. Like all of that, kind of crappy situations that we went through that in the end, have made us stronger and have made us more resilient, and sometimes have also carried a little bit of trauma, stress that otherwise we could have let go.
Mm-hmm.
Or other situations where, if we had have been able to just keep our head and be able to remain calm and settled in an emotional storm, then maybe a negative result that happened could have gone another way. Maybe we could have kept that friendship. Maybe we would have been able to take advantage of that opportunity. What have you. Maybe I would have been able to understand that concept, and my journey would have been totally different because my mind was settled and calm. So Art of Living is really that school, actually. It's the school of teaching these tools how to manage my mind and emotions and get connected with that essence of who I am, that silence within, the peace, the calm, the love, the enthusiasm, the intuition, getting connected with that nature of who we are, and being able to give those tools as a gift to our kids. And the interesting thing I would say is that when we get them to the course, not only do they learn these tools for themselves, but they get connected to a broader community of kids that are practicing these things. So it's no longer mom's thing. It's not dad's thing. It's this super cool thing that I do with all my peers, actually. And I suddenly, instead of having just these superficial connections with my friends based on what I wear or what I like or what I collect or what have you, which is fine. I mean, it's all good. Enjoy that. I get to have a much deeper connection with my friends. I get to really understand and experience what it's like to be truly authentic with people and not feel that I'm not enough or that I need to perform in some way, but actually that I can just be myself. And that is the most amazing and beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So I think there's such an advantage in learning these tools, and it's very different. Like the course for adults, we have learning the tools. There's a lot of exchange and discussion, which is very rich and beautiful. But for the kids, there isn't as much of that discussion. It's all done through games. So half of the time, they don't realize they're learning something until the end, and we get them to recap what they take from it. And all the learning is done through games, so it's tons of fun for them, and they feel good, and they feel a change, and it's just awesome to see the difference in the kids, even after a few days of the courses.
That's incredible, and you brought up the word superficial, and it brought to mind for me back in, 2018, 2019, they really started pushing this social emotional learning. And they were bringing it into the schools as part of the curriculum. And I don't want this to be compared to, or I've done that already, because as important as it was to bring into the schools, yes, 100%. But when I took the certification, and when I looked at it, when I really started feeling like, okay, I'm going to deliver this, I almost felt like this is just below superficial, very cookie cutter, very drop down menu. And I think that if people are doing this, kids are going, I'm not buying into this at all. I don't need to look like a tree. I don't need to branch out to my friends. And you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it gets this whole work that you do. I don't want it to have any kind of bad rap. Oh, I've done the social emotional.
Right.
No, you haven't. No, you haven't. So I would love to
Mm-hmm.
hear more about this. There's like this intuition program.
Yes.
Let's talk.
Yes. Wonderful. Let's talk. Yeah, that's it. So we have different courses for kids. I mean, for the youngest kids, it's called Art Excel, or the Art of Excellence. And that's kids between 5 and 8 years old. And then we have a course called Sky Teens, which is, or we call it the Youth Empowerment Seminar, which is basically like 9 to, where are we now? Actually, yeah, I'm getting the ages mixed up, but for adolescents, it's this, the Youth Empowerment Seminar. And then after that is the Sky Campus, which is for the older youth, so into the university age and that kind of a thing. And when Sky Schools actually encapsulates all those programs, which we teach for the youth. But there is a program, a new program that goes, is kind of the next step of those programs. And those programs are actually now combined with the program you talked about, the intuition process. So typically in the world, we experience knowledge or learning through 3 different ways. So one is through the senses. So we learn through the senses. We're able to see, touch, feel, hear something, and we gain a knowledge or an understanding from that. And that is, I remember, my grandfather would tell me, okay, I won't believe something until I can feel it and touch it, But there are flaws to our senses as well, like that old trick of you have a glass of water and you put a pen in the water and the pen looks bent.
Yeah.
Well, we know the pen is not bent, but that's an illusion to our senses. So the knowledge of the senses has a lot of value, but there's also something beyond, and the next step beyond that would be the intellectual knowledge, right? So intellectual knowledge is all about, okay, for me, I think for us, it's a cloudy day today and I can't see the sun, but intellectually, I know it's there.
Yeah.
I know it's there because I've studied about our world, I've studied about science, and I know that the sun is always there beyond the clouds. So the next level is the intellectual knowledge. And then the third level of knowing is through the self. You could say that intuitive level of knowing. And this is that little voice inside. Some people call it the gut feeling.
Yeah.
That little voice that whispers something to us. That little understanding that, oh, that person's going to call. And somehow they call. I remember seeing Wayne Gretzky on the TV talking about back in the day when I was a kid. Someone was interviewing and asking him, "Oh, how did you make that pass? You didn't even look over there. Your eyes, we saw you on the ice. Were in the one direction. How did you know he was there?" You know what he said? I just knew. I just knew he was there. I didn't have to look.
Yeah.
So, we have an understanding and we have this little bit experience with this intuitive level of knowledge. But often as adults, we get so bombarded with experiences that convince us that, okay, this is possible. This is not possible. This is within, my purview. This is not. And in addition to that, we're tied up in so many cravings and aversions, wanting feverishly this one thing or being really averse. I don't want that, So with all of this activity in the mind and these cravings and aversion, it can kind of dull down a little bit that third knowing of knowledge. And the beauty is that when we start to practice some of these techniques, we enliven that once again. We release these negative impressions, little traumas and stresses from the system, so we get more in touch with our intuition as well. And the beautiful thing about kids is that a lot of the time they just don't have those concepts. They're isn't it?
Like fresh slate. Yeah.
Clean slate. Like they are an open book. And for them, anything is possible. And for them, those strong cravings and desires or aversions to things, it's not so well founded yet. It may be there a little bit. Oh yeah, I don't like broccoli, or I don't like this, but it's not so like well founded as it is in a lot of us adults. So for them, that you could say being able to tune in, so to speak, to that intuition is much stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, at least for now, we teach the intuition aspect of the program just for kids. So I believe the youngest is 5 and the oldest is 18 that you can take this. So there's just a short window that these kids can take this program. And it's really remarkable what becomes possible for them when they start to practice this regularly and develop that really natural wisdom, that intuition that's within them.
So are you doing this virtually? Do you do this in person? How's this working?
Yeah, great question. So we do it both. So it's actually it's a 17 session program. Mm. And it's done both online and in person.
Okay.
So the first few days of the program are done in person. And then you can either do hybrid, in person and online after that, or you can do it just online with the kids. Yeah. They get, after learning the techniques and practicing them on the course with their friends that they met on the course, then they have a home practice that they can do. Mm-hmm. And really, the more consistent that they can be with that home practice, the more that intuition can develop. And it's incredible what can come out of it. And I would say the beauty of these programs is that it enlivens that confidence within the child. It enlivens that focus. And you get both, actually. It's like you get these really bright, intellectually stimulated and creative minds that just flourish. Mm-hmm. It almost comes out of nowhere, that maybe hadn't even come up before, these hidden talents and many of these types of things. And then at the same time, this ability to let go and recharge themselves fully with these techniques and have that direct experience of their intuition and be able to learn to trust it as well, and really trust themselves. And I mean, it's incredible the results that these kids have seen. I mean, like I said, it'll show up in their behavior. Mm-hmm. And the way they honor the family, the way they perform in school, the way they're able to connect with peers and with people, friends and family. But then also there's a whole other level of skills that develop. Like some kids are able to read a book with a blindfold on that has no light that's able to get in the blindfold. And it's absolutely remarkable. It's remarkable. I mean, there's many videos we have online of this, and we have many skeptics that come to we do intro sessions for the intuition process where families can come, they can bring their kids if they like. As parents, they can come on their own, however they like. And we have the intuition kids that will come up and demonstrate this. Mm-hmm. So that you'll have kids that can play video games with the blindfold on. I mean, maybe you don't want to play video games, period, but you can see the.
It's going through my head. Uh-oh.
Yeah, no, we're not doing that one. So the other, I mean, I know one of the kids that I spoke to, he told me that, he for him, it's almost unfair because he knows that the questions that are going to be on the test and the answers, when before he gets to the test, so he feels it's almost unfair. And then you have other, kids, like we have some kids that are working with the government. They're working with the military to show where there are some hostages, or missing persons.
Holy
They're
jeez.
working with kids that have been kidnapped to find where they are and save the kids, so it's remarkable. I mean, and this type of skill, I mean, it's not like it just came up now. I mean, it's been written about many thousands of years ago in ancient texts from all around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And even recently, I mean, organizations like, if you've ever heard of remote viewers, they've been used by, CIA and different KGB and all these different government organizations. But typically it was not something that you can learn. It was something where someone was born with this ability. Mm-hmm. And that's it. Like, they can't really teach it to anybody, but they have it themselves. But what we're doing is very different. I mean, this has all come from Gurudev Sri Sri Ravi Shankar. He's an enlightened being from India. He's someone that's living in the present moment, every moment. No cravings and aversion, just like a child, but with that full enthusiasm and intellectual rigor and all of that. They're combined, operating from a place of love, actually. Mm-hmm. And, from a young age, from a kid, he said, there are millions of people waiting for me. And now with over 800 million lives touched, that vision has come to fruition. We're celebrating our 45th anniversary this year. And it's interesting because back in the day when he was a kid, the kids would all make fun of him. And they would say, "Oh, where are all these millions of people? You don't even have a postcard from anyone." And they would make fun and write things, on the wall about him and this kind of thing. But, as a child, being found in deep meditation at a young age, 2-3 years old, meditating, and, being able to recite these ancient scriptures from the Veda, this secular text from India, by heart. As a young child, and then as he went on, being mentored by other sages in India, and then eventually deciding to start his own movement, the Art of Living. He was working with one movement, and there was an opportunity to really have a very established place there, but he decided to just go on his own and create another movement, the Art of Living Foundation, mm-hmm. to be there for people and to transfer these techniques for so many people that were in need. And it was interesting because I remember him recounting this story of how he was at a train station, and if he went north on the train, he was going to start Art of Living and this organization, from scratch. There's nothing there. And if he were to go south, he was going to continue with that other organization and continue the work with them. And his intellect was saying, "Are you crazy? You've got people doing everything for you in that other organization. There's a great opportunity to reach people. You've got no foundation in this other work. There's nothing created." But he was able not just to listen to that intellectual or ego understanding, but he's able to listen to his intuition. That's that voice that whispered, "Go. There are people that need you. People need to experience this other wisdom, techniques, and knowledge." And it's from that, space of connecting with that inner intuition that enabled him to change the lives of hundreds of millions of people. I mean, we're closing in on 1 billion.
Wow.
So it's just truly remarkable. And basically what he has shared is that, he's also been able to kind of download these techniques from that greater level of wisdom. Like in yoga, we talk about these different sheaths of consciousness or existence. We talk about the level of the annamaya kosha, which is the food level. Then the pranamaya kosha, which is the prana, the energy. Manomaya kosha, which is the mind. And then we have the Vijnanamaya kosha, which is the wisdom layer, and then the Anandamaya kosha, which is kind of like that eternal bliss And these are subtle aspects of who we are. I mean, you could even see, I mean, they have these Carillion diagrams now where they chart, and you can actually see on these photographs the different energy off of the human body. So this knowledge has been a part of many ancient traditions, but now it's being, quantified by science. Mm-hmm. So much of this knowledge he's been able to download from those, subtler realms of consciousness. And in so doing, we've actually developed this institute. It's called the Institute for Absolute Intelligence, or the Institute for AI.
Oh, I love it. Oh my God.
So it's a different kind of AI, actually.
Yeah.
And this is something, in fact, the AI, it comes from that intellectual, it's almost like a mimic of that intellectual level of knowledge. Mm-hmm. But where does that intellectual level of knowledge comes from? It comes from the self, or the soul, or the essence of who you are, whatever name you want to give to that. It comes from that level of who we are, that at essence. And if you can connect with the source, mm-hmm. then everything becomes possible. It's incredible.
That's amazing. I picture, as you're talking about the students who are I picture all these kids walking around with this bubble of just like, you can't get to me. Like, I'm here. I'm in the bubble. I am sturdy. I am steady. Nothing is going to shift. Like, I just picture that. And I feel like, we all were born with this natural intuition. Yes. And then it gets crushed out of us when somebody says, no, that's not going to work. No, you can't do it. No, you're too short. No, you're too tall. No, you're too fat. No, you're too stupid. And then you start believing it. And then you start looking for evidence of it.
Right.
And then you're done. Like, right? That's all you can find is when you wake up in the morning. If you wake up going, this is going to be the shittiest day. Well, you can bet it is. But if you're looking for some miracles, you're going to find them. And I feel like it makes so much sense to me, the age group that you're doing, because that's the time. I mean, the brains aren't fully developed till 25. So you still got them before the world says, oh, no, you can't. This is not possible. I love this. Oh, my God, I love this. It's so good.
To piggyback on what you're saying, Cheryl, it's so true. That whole, evolution that you were talking about being pushed down and being told no, and then you look for proof. It's so true. It happens to so many of us. And all of these, impressions have been building up. And it's like, when your memory is done on your computer, how does the computer perform? Well, it doesn't. It freezes. Yes. You get that bouncing beach ball of death if you've got a Mac. It's like
the hamster wheel.
The hamster wheel. There you go. So it's like it doesn't work. And so no wonder we feel tired.
Yeah.
No wonder we feel fried. No wonder we don't feel the joy we used to feel before. Like, it's totally natural. And the good news is that, as you rightly said, this is our nature. So for many years, we've been behaving very unnaturally because we've been pushed in that direction. Yeah. But these techniques and programs, they bring us back to being very natural. And intuition is a very natural part of who we are. And it's interesting. I mean, now I started this in, 2003, so 2003. And so it's been 23 years. I mean, time flies. Wow. And it's so interesting because that connection comes back to you. So just by practicing these things, even though maybe you can't, the adults at this point, at least, are not able to do the intuition program, these skills come back to us just from practicing the Sudarshan Kriya, this rhythmic breathing I was talking about, the Sahaj Samadhi meditation, going on these silent meditation retreats that we do. I've noticed that my intuition has become much stronger in my day-to-day life. And interestingly enough, assisting, my wife I teach the kids courses, and my wife teaches this intuition process. And being an assistant on her course, we had an odd number of students, and I went through some of the exercises and I was getting them. So this is part of our nature. This is part of your nature.
Yeah.
This is part of my nature. This is part of everyone that's listening. This is a part of our nature. All it needs is for us to nurture that a little more, spend a little bit of time, few minutes a day on these powerful techniques. Art of Living Part 1 course is an incredible way to start if people are looking for a new way to experience something rather than just an intellectual understanding. And then it's a practice that's yours, and you do it as a daily practice or whenever you need it. And it's really something so beautiful you can add to your life, right? It may have come from India, but it's secular. I love Thai food, but I'm not Thai, right? I appreciate, my cell phone, my iPhone here, and made in China, designed in California. I'm neither Californian nor am I Chinese, but it's so useful to me.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing, all the knowledge of the world is yours. And that's for us to benefit from all this wisdom, no matter where it comes from.
Yeah. I think it's what shifts for me is when I've really started to internalize that I'm not going out to learn something. I'm coming back into who I actually am, and it's already there. I don't have to look for it. It's here. I just have to shed the layers that other shit put me on. It's there. And it shifted. Like, it took me a long time to even understand that. Like, people would say that, I'm like, come back to who you are. I don't even know what you're talking about right now. But when I sat with it and I started thinking, that made it feel easy for me because I've already got it. I don't have to go find something else. And I think if listeners kind of, sit on that for a little bit, and everything you said, oh my God, Spencer, this has been incredible. I'm like so pumped right now.
Yeah, awesome. Me too.
Okay, tell us where to find you, how to work with you. I have a funny feeling we need to have some more conversations because my brain's going, oh, got to do this and we got to check that. But let's talk right now about where to find you, how to work with you. Tell us all the good things, Spencer.
Thank you so much. So our website is artofliving.org. So wherever you are in the world, you go to artofliving.org. You're going to see a lot of the courses we have, different places where you can do it. You can look up by your postal code where the closest programs, where the closest events are, and, go for it. Experience these techniques for yourself.
And is there something coming up in 2027?
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Because I'm coming.
Appreciate it. Yeah, this is going to be awesome. We're going to love to have you there and all your listeners, Cheryl. So every 5 years, we do something called the World Culture Festival. And maybe you've noticed the world is a little bit divided these days. And what we've been doing is we've said, okay, we may look different. We may eat different food, but we're a one world family. And let's celebrate life. Let's celebrate the diversity out there. And we have these celebrations. We had one in India. Our first one was over 2 million people. Then we had one 70,000 people in Berlin, the Olympic Stadium. Then we had one in Delhi that was almost 4 million people. And we just had one a few years ago in Washington. We had over 1 million people. And who won the bid this year for the next World Culture Festival? Canada.
Big to you.
That's it. No, we're doing it. We're doing it in Toronto.
Love it.
Canada won the bid. Over these coming months until the World Culture Festival in Canada, we're going to be having curtain raisers across the country. It's going to be listed on our website where we're going to celebrate our 45th anniversary of the Art of Living, 70th anniversary of Gurudev Sri Sri Ravi Shankar, the founder of the Art of Living. And we're going to be doing curtain raisers for this incredible event. I'd also like to share that we also have the Institute of AI, where we're doing research on these incredible techniques with the intuition process and how you can unlock your children's intuition. Not only that, you can even go online and get an intuitive scan from one of our intuitive scanners, and you can discover and explore more of this on the website instituteofai.ai. So instituteofai.ai, and you can explore some of those things. We've got activities and courses happening throughout Canada and the United States. And really everywhere in the world now, there's these different courses taking place. So in addition to that, I'd love to hear from you if you'd like to get in touch. I often put a link tree on my Instagram with all my courses that I'm doing. So my Instagram is just my name, Spencer Delisle. Maybe my name's in the show notes and you can take a look. And same with my Twitter, same with my LinkedIn. And you can find me there. Would love to stay in touch.
Amazing. I will put everything in the show notes so people aren't thinking I got to memorize all this. I got it. I got you. Spencer, I am so honored. This has been such an amazing conversation. You are such a gift. I'm so grateful for the work you're doing. I definitely want to do this again. I will definitely see you next year. I'm going to creep your Instagram so I don't miss anything.
Awesome.
I'll be the stalker.
Cheryl, hey, you're amazing. You are bringing so much light and love and care and amazing initiatives and programs and practices for people. And wow, it's so nice to meet someone that's uplifting someone. And it's so cool, isn't it? Like to be in the company of, people doing good work and your listeners doing great stuff. So thank you again so much. Such a pleasure to chat with you.
Thank you. It is such a joy, honestly. I thank you so much. Thank you for listening to Parenting Teens Advice Redefined. I'm so grateful for your time. If you're lost, if you're in the dark, you're thinking you're failing, listen. If you're listening to the podcast, you're reading the books, you're asking the question, you are still in the game. You're still winning. We got you. You don't have to do this alone. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time. Before you go, I really want you to know something. I'm not just a podcaster. I'm a speaker, a published author, and the founder of Insight to Impact. I'm an educational strategist and family advocate with over 25 years of experience helping families and schools support teenagers from diagnosis to IEPs, to interpreting assessments, to high school transitions, and beyond. This podcast, Parenting Teens Advice Redefined for Today's World, is part of my mission to help parents understand schools, support their teens, and feel heard and seen at the table. If today's episode helped you, please subscribe or follow the show, share it with another parent, and leave a review. It truly helps families find the support. And I'm very grateful when you do these things. And if your teen is struggling in school, navigating a new diagnosis, or you need help preparing support at school, you can work with me directly through educational consulting or my 90-day advocacy program. Just visit CherylPankhurst.com to learn more and to book a complimentary consultation to see if I can help. I know parenting is frickin' hard, but if you're listening to podcasts, if you're reading the books, if you're looking for answers, you are not failing because you're still trying. You do not have to figure this out alone. I got you, and we'll see you next week.